Let's switch things over to the US now for more reaction. Joining us is our US analyst Michael Ware for his thoughts on this. As I mentioned earlier, Michael, good to see you, by the way. Whenever it comes to Donald Trump, I think one should just sort of look past the initial statement and look to what's behind it all, because that's generally what the US president is getting at. So what do you think is the main aim here for Donald Trump? What's he trying to achieve?
Yeah, well, first I want to say I know Nick Robertson there in Greenland, and yes, he looked like he was freezing. And mate, you've asked the great question, because what's really behind all of this? There is absolutely no question that Greenland is of vital strategic interest to the United States. No one even doubts that. The problem is that the US militarily already has an unfettered and free hand in Greenland. Since a treaty in 1951, they can build as many bases or airfields as they like. So the great question has been, and that deal was reaffirmed in 2004 with the agreement of the Greenland government, the semi-autonomous government. So you've already got it. Why do this? And that's what I think is your question. Because if America takes Greenland, and it could do it economically, or as President Trump says, he refuses to rule out military options. None of us see American troops invading Greenland, but say by one means or another they take it. The logic behind this, amongst the thinkers behind President Trump's foreign policy, is essentially, the politics of great powers and dividing the world up into hemispheres. All right, Russia and Europe, you can have that hemisphere. Hopefully a new Europe will arise to properly defend itself against Russia. That's all their problems. America's problems are concentrated on the Western Hemisphere, North and South American continents, and they deem that includes Greenland by necessity. That would leave the Eastern Hemisphere to China or the Indo-Pacific. Now, what the American strategists are saying is that by us doing this and dividing the world up this way, we can refocus on our great enemy. There's a bipolar world. It's America versus China. But what that means is if they do anything of the kind that they're talking about with Greenland, even though the officials and heads of state met here in America and said we agreed to disagree, this would be the death knell of NATO. And the Americans know that. If they touch Greenland, they're basically leaving NATO and leaving NATO to themselves and saying we don't need you, want you, or value you. So the greater purpose behind this, okay, maybe there's some rare earth minerals, very hard to extract, unexplored, and there hasn't been any sort of infrastructure developed to exploit those. So it could be about securing national strategic interests in rare earth minerals to guard against China. But it also means killing NATO. It also means divorcing Europe. So this does fit within a certain radical global strategic policy or thinking that is running rampant right now in the White House and the Trump administration.
So how serious are they about it all?
Absolutely serious. I'm frightened by it. I had no idea. I thought it was just the president, speaking off the top of his head, that it was just sort of putting ideas out there into the ether. But about a month ago, President Trump appointed a special envoy to Greenland, which deeply troubled the Danes, Europe, and the Greenlanders. And I can tell you for a fact that behind the scenes, this administration has been sounding out people to become the nominal governor of the new protectorate of Greenland. I'm frightened and stunned and surprised, even given all the people I know in this administration, that they are so deadly serious about this.
Okay, we'll see where that ends up. Good to see you, Michael. Thank you. We'll chat to you again next week.